so high, grant us long life and good fortune, grant us wisdom and good health for all beings, wherever they may be. Grant us long life, wisdom and health.
Oh, I can see everybody. How fantastic. Hello. My goodness. We're all over the globe here. This is fantastic. Yeah. Hi. Oh my gosh. How wonderful. Really, it's beautiful to see you all. So happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter. What a day. I don't know what kind of day you guys have been having. Of course, we're already in late afternoon here in Brazil. And it was gorgeous blue skies we woke up to, and now we have a lightning and thunderstorm going on out the window. So anything can happen. Just warning you, if it all goes dead, that means that somehow the electricity was interfered with, but we're going to forge on until and hope that that doesn't happen, because I have some really wonderful things to share with you today. The first thing that I wanted to start talking about, that I wanted to open the door to, was, of course, the specialness of this particular holiday, because growing up a Catholic, as I did as a young child, following the mysteries, following the cross, the way of the cross, every year during this time, really caused me to think deeply about the meaning. And then as I engaged in various other religious practices, the Easter, the way of the cross stayed with me, because it's so powerful, the information, it's so blessed, that I'm happy to share a little bit of my sort of take on things with you, because I think it's important for us. And also this Friday was full moon, really very special to have this exquisite, powerful moon energy multiplying our thoughts and prayers. So I was very much present in the Passion of Christ, in the mystery of the way of the cross. Because when I was living in India as a Hindu wife, you know, whenever it came around the whole idea of the cross, very often my Hindu friends would say to me, we don't understand, this is such a bloody religion, you know, how is it possible that you take your God and do this to him? And so it really forced me to think about that and to understand that it's not all pretty, our world, in the sense of peaceful or blissful, that there are many things going on, and all of us experience them all the time. And it is very much important to us to know what's going on and how to deal with it, and how to think about it, how to understand it, how to move with it. And so we start, for me, it always started on Thursday, because Thursday, really, there was such important things that were said that have passed. Can you imagine, you know, it's over 2,000 years, we have been repeating this story. We have been associating with this story because the whole business of it is so incredible. First of all, it's Thursday night, and Jesus and his disciples gather for a meal, which is something that we all do with our beloveds. It's something that we all share with our beloveds, is to sit down and have a meal together during celebratory times. So this would have been, because they were Jews, they would have been celebrating the Passover, which is a really intense holiday for the Jews, which represents unattachment, the letting go, the killing of the lamb that has been fatted for a week, and the family has given it a name and had attachment to it. And so they're sitting around celebrating this, and one of the first things that Jesus does is he washes everybody's feet. Now, this is a very intimate thing for someone to do. And imagine, your teacher going around to every person and washing their feet. And he does this very lovingly. And when he comes to Peter, who's one of his closest guys, Peter says to him, no, Lord, you can't do this. I can't accept you doing this. And Jesus says to him, if you don't let me wash your feet, you have nothing to do with me, because you don't understand me. You don't understand how important this gesture is, because in other words, he's saying we're all equal here. We all serve each other. We have an intimacy. We have a respect. I'm not above you. I'm with you. And that's such a beautiful gesture. That always really touched me. So for me, the passion started there with the washing of the feet. And he says to his disciples, I love you. And he said, and I tell you, I want you to love one another. That's really what you have to do. Love one another. And again, this was really a powerful message for me, because it's not easy sometimes for us to love one another. We have all kinds of carbuncles and weirdnesses and strange behaviors and things that are not easy understood. But then the evening goes on in its incredible profundity. He takes up the bread. He takes up some bread and he takes up some wine and he says, eat and drink with me. And whenever you do this, remember, you are consuming me. So this also powerful message. In many of the religious paths that I have studied or engaged with, the Native Americans and certainly the Hindus and the Buddhists, there's an aspect of the bread of life. For the Native Americans, it's corn. For the Tibetans, it's barley. And for the Indians, of course, it's rice. So, but the bread of life, the grain of life that is cultivated and that sustains our body, that this is the sacrifice of life, because life consumes life on this planet. And by doing this, we should always remember how sacred it is, that every consumption, everything that we consume is sacred, that it's as sacred as the connection of the beloved to the beloved, which is what Christ was to his disciples. They were beloved for each other. And so this reminder for him to say, take this and eat, it's mine. Always remember me. Very, very beautiful. And of course, the blood is the essence, the essential nature of each one of us. But then this profound day goes on. He goes with a few of his disciples up a little hill into a garden. The nuns called it Gethsemane. I don't know how it's pronounced in anyone else's language, but that was how I got it as a kid, Gethsemane. And he's there, and it's at this moment as he starts to really look at what's happening. What's happening? He has offended all of these powerful people. And he knows, because he has an open heart and an intensely cultivated mind, that things are difficult and it's going to get worse. And it's going to fall on his shoulders. And he knows that. He can see it, he can feel it. And he's looking around for the people that he brought with him, the disciples that he brought with him, but they're so wiped out, they're just passed out. And he's alone. And in the story, it says that he sweated blood. So it's really intense. Now I know, and as I look at all of the different faces of my beloveds here, I know that every one of you face or have faced something in your life that felt like you were sweating blood, that it was so difficult, that to unattach yourself from your physical body, your beloved husbands or wives or friends or children or teachers or your beloved house, your beloved pets, your beloved whatever, the incredible sense of attachment that we all suffer through, and the letting go, the deep letting go that we have to do. Very often we know when life is demanding it of us. And at this moment, it's demanding it of him. And so, according to the story, he says, you know, I don't want to do this. I mean, it really, he recognizes how horrible it is, how painful it's going to be, how to take the next step. Isn't there any way that we can do this differently? And he's informed by what we call God. Now, I have a beautiful rendition of what God is by Ken MacLeod, and I'll share that with you a little bit later. But at this point, let's just say in the Christian tradition, it's God the Father, and the all-pervasive, the all-knowing, the all-loving, who lets him know there's no way out. This is his job. And so he says, okay, not my will, meaning not the isolated, the single, the I that is bound to suffer, but thy will, meaning the greater will, the incontestable, interconnected karma of the entire race and of the entire world. All of that, this sacrifice is the best thing that can happen to the world, because my inner guidance, meaning Christ's inner knowing, was telling him this is what you have to do. This is a really important thing for us to remember. We're going to take the next step, even if it looks scary, even if it looks like we might lose everything. Nonetheless, if we know if our inner guidance tells us of that connection to the profundity of the mystery of who we are, not only as human beings, but as radiant light beings, knowing what sacrifice we need to make, that we agree, yes, I will engage, not my will, but the greater will. I enter the most profound part of my life knowing that it's the greatest gift I can give the world. And we say this again and again in our Tibetan prayers. What is the greatest gift that we can give the world? And it's to surrender our petty attachments and to enter into the vastness of who we truly are, and to learn how to remain in that vastness so that we can radiate our loving compassion to everyone that we engage with. So then comes the horror of the crucifixion itself. And even in the middle of this intense, horrible situation going on, he says, I forgive them. They know not what they do. And again, this was something that was so important to me to remember, that anyone who causes us harm, or the ones we love harm, anyone who causes harm, it's not, they don't know what they're doing. And therefore, if we hold on to resentment or revenge, we are engaging in the same nature of confusion and ignorance that they are. It's absolutely essential that we recognize that people who harm themselves and others do not know what they are doing. They have no idea what they are doing. So one of the important facets, something very important, when people are dying, when family members are passing away, or someone really important to us is dying, and we ask ourselves, what can I do at this moment, even after they have died? Because usually the spirit, especially if there's been strong attachment, personal attachment, it hangs around for a bit. and you have an opportunity to really communicate. One of the most important things for us to say is, forgive me, I forgive you. No matter what we've done, if it caused harm, it could only have been done in ignorance. Because wisdom is based on the understanding of our interconnectedness. Wisdom is based on that. So then, all right, the cross, the horrible, carrying the death on the cross, and then they deliver the body. And at this time, again, the powerful message of, total despair. Everything is desperate. We've given up. And yet, according to the teachings that I've received from the Tibetans, when a great being dies, when a bodhisattva dies, the first thing that it does, the first thing that he or she does, is they descend into the most powerful realms of suffering, which in the Tibetan system is called the hell realms. The realms where people are totally possessed by anger and hatred and cannot escape their anger and hatred. So according to the promise that a Catholic makes in what's called the Nicene Creed, after he dies, it says that Jesus descended into hell. He descended into hell. And on the third day, he arose from the dead. So here we are on Saturday, and what does a bodhisattva do when they descend into hell? Well, according to these teachings, they bring everybody out, that they have the power to overcome anger and hatred in others and to bring them out of that state of consciousness. So also a very, very precious and beautiful, this is one of the reasons why we pray to be bodhisattvas. We pray that we may be enlightened beings, because then we have the power and the presence to enter into any hostile situation and disarm it by the power of our love and light. How many times have you been frustrated in your attempt to disarm situations where people are at war? And I'm not just talking about countries. I'm talking about husbands and wives and parents and children and places where we work and all of the various human situations that we encounter again and again. We look at it, we wish that there was some way that we could enter into, that somehow we had some magic wand that we could wave to wake people up to the preciousness of their humanity, the preciousness of living love, being in love. Not happening. We don't have the power. We don't have the presence. We don't have the wisdom. We don't have the words. So we pray. This is one of our sincere prayers, is that we may be able to manifest the fullness of that wisdom and compassion that Christ did on Saturday when he descended into hell. Because then what happens the next day, which is today, Sunday, Easter Sunday, he arose again from the dead. So now really we celebrate. And what are we celebrating? We're celebrating our human potential. Again and again, we die. We die in so many different horrible ways. We let go. We are ripped apart in so many ways in our different encounters with our loved ones or with our loved objects or whatever it is that we're attached to. So, and what happens on the other side of it? On the other side of it, we are resurrected in the light. We let go. And the degree to which we have let go is the degree to which we arise in the light. So this is my particular take on the Easter message that I really wanted to share with everyone. I thought it was kind of hysterical that I chose Easter Sunday, because I didn't choose it because it was Easter Sunday. I chose it because it was the third Sunday of the month, and several of my beloved friends and dancers were not able to be present on the second Sunday, which is what I had been doing. And so I just chose the third Sunday, 21st. That sounded pretty good. I like that number. And here we are. I had no idea until just it was a week ago when someone said, well, hey, you know, that's Easter. You think that's going to inhibit people being present? Well, maybe it did. It's possible. We did have a few less people than we've had in our previous Zooms, and that could be for 100 different reasons. But certainly many people spend Easter with their families or traveling or not close to their computer. But I'm glad you guys are available. This is very nice to see you all, and very, very, very nice to be able to share this with you, because I felt it was important. So I have a few treats prepared. One, last Zoom, we were talking into the magic shop, and thank you. Several of you wrote to me and told me that you had gotten copies of the book. So I'm really happy to hear that you took advantage of that, because I really think it's remarkable the way he put it together. And I have a couple of other little pieces from him. But one was this matter of learning how to relax, how to let go, how to do a simple practice of deeply letting go. And as I was entertaining that, I bumped into something. I don't even know where I got it from, but it's called the One Breath meditation. So I thought this would be really fun to share with you, because, you know, of course, it's powerful and helpful to take time to do concentrated spiritual practice. It's true that concentrated meditations, prayers, and practice can help to forge these neural pathways that we've been talking about, and actually change the course of our thinking, the way in which we think. But we don't always have not only the opportunity, but also the presence of mind. For some, sitting and concentrating without guidance, without the support of a Sangha, it's not so easy. And so what do? Many people ask me, what can I do? I've got kids, I've got a job, I've got a husband, I've got a whole situation that I'm dealing with. When I have a moment to relax, that's all I want to do. I just want to relax and not think about anything, not try to make anything happen. And I certainly can understand and relate to that. So this practice is the practice of working with one breath. So it says, I'm going to read some of this, and I want you to engage with me. So if you could close your eyes. Okay? So when you are agitated or feeling dull, or when you feel hypnotized by thoughts or images, don't try to hold your attention on your breath. Just breathe naturally. Just breathe naturally. And then at some point, like now, just breathe out and stop for a moment. And then allow yourself to resume your breathing again. Okay, so we're going to do that again. And when you breathe out, just allow your attention to stay there just for a couple of seconds. And then start your breathing again. Just breathe normally, without any resistance, without any contrivance. Just breathe normally. Adjust your posture a little bit. Get your back a little straight. Move your body a little bit in case it has any stiffness. Okay. And then after the nice healthy inhale, breathe out just one breath and stop. and then resume your breathing. You can do this at any time. Relax, move your body a little bit, straighten your back, see where you're stiff, and then breathe out and stop. So if you find this enjoyable, you can do 2 breaths. Breathing in, breathing out, and stop. Breathing in, breathing out, and stop. Okay, very nice. So just relax a little bit. Now, according to this person, whom I didn't take a note on where I picked this up, that you can progress with more than 1 or 2 breaths, but don't stress at all. What happens on the out breath, when you are allowing yourself to rest in the out breath, a clarity of mind arises. And then breathe, think, move, doesn't matter, out breath, rest. This allows the mind to become comfortable and familiar with that sensation of just letting go. And you can sustain this. You can do more than 1 breath. Do a few breaths and then continue on with whatever it was that you were engaged with. So I thought that that was wonderful. We can all afford at least 1 breath. And maybe we can even do 2 breaths before we zip off into doing the dishes or washing the clothes or making sure the kids have done their homework or whatever it is that we're preoccupied with. So more and more we learn to rest the mind, to let the mind and the heart rest. Let the whole body rest. And it doesn't have to be for long and prolonged periods of time. Okay, so then the next thing that I had to share with you, which I thought was really tremendous. According to these teachings that we've been working with and that are the basis of our dancing, the basis of our beautiful Tara dancing and our Tara practices, the wisdom that we seek has to do with the recognition of interconnectedness. That is the basis of the wisdom that we are seeking. And so knowing this provides the foundation for everything else. When we understand the infinite interconnectedness of our life and how precious that is, then we can recognize where we separate from this and how we create occasions of grasping and of pushing away, of violence, of aggression. That all arises out of our mistaken idea that we are not interconnected. So here comes this unbelievable set of research. Now, I would have loved to have seen the research papers because I didn't see the details. I only saw the results. People with a sense of oneness experience greater life satisfaction. Now, this is a scientific experiment. People with a sense of oneness experience greater life satisfaction. And then it goes on to say this effect is found regardless of religious orientation. In fact, they did a study with 60,000 people. 60,000 people. They all asked these same questions. And it turned out that various religions, that most of the people within these religions, especially, which I found very interesting, Islam, have a sense of the divine as being the oneness of all of life, the interconnectedness of all of life. So it goes on to say, and this was reported by the American Psychological Association. So we're not kidding around. We are serious scientists that are discussing these things. I think this is just hysterical. So then people who believe in oneness, the idea that everything in the world is connected and interdependent, are you ready? Have greater satisfaction in their life than those who don't, irregardless of their religion. And people with higher oneness scores. Now, I would have liked to take that test to see what my score is. I love that. Reported significantly greater life satisfaction. Now, in the article, and I just found it so amusing because it was so oriented towards our normal Western goal of feeling self-satisfied. So it was, but here we go. And of course, the Dalai Lama is always saying, you know, if you want to make yourself happy, make everybody around you happy. If you want to feel good about yourself, make everybody around you feel good. So of course, in other words, the most selfish thing we could do is benefiting others. Anyway, it goes on to say there's a significant correlation between oneness beliefs and satisfaction, and that people who have more satisfaction experience increased performance. So they said specifically students, college students, because a large segment of their population were college students, that they showed an increase in academic performance. And elder people showed an increase in their health. So I thought that would be really fun for us all to share with our friends, that to understand how satisfying resting in an understanding of interconnectedness is, and oneness. They actually said, call it the oneness experience. So that really, really delighted me. And then, so I have a few of these to share with you because it was a fertile month since I had 5 weeks to be inspired. So this next one was this scientist, this psychologist actually, Mary Carol Hunter. She's an associate professor at the University of Michigan. And she had a research project to prove that hanging out in nature will lower stress hormone levels. What she called nature pills. And she would prescribe to her clients nature pills, which were that her clients needed to spend at least 20 to 30 minutes sitting or walking or just being in a place that provides a sense of nature. So I want to really remind you folks, get outside, breathe the air, walk around the trees, whatever it takes, but every day take your nature pill. That's my prescription for everybody, is 20 to 30 minutes of nature pill. Anyway, I just love it that everyone is being told these pieces of information, that it's actually, it's going out amongst the bigger airwaves. It's not just, you know, our small group of eccentric friends who have discovered the value of these wonderful activities and how to maintain health. I went to see my, the doctor who did the operation on my hip recently, Dr. Claudio, and is a lovely man, really, really lovely man. And so I said to him, well, Dr. Claudio, one of the things I have to report is that much to my shock and amazement, I turned 70. I said, I wasn't expecting that one. That just sort of, you know, blindsided me. So, you know, and my doctor in Hawaii tells me that my aches and pains all have to do with the fact that I'm an old lady. So he was very adorable. He said, well, I hope that when I hit 70, I look like you. So that made me feel really good. Okay, so I have one more to share with you that, of course, these scientific experiments, the reason that I think it's important for us to share, to acknowledge them, to talk about it, and to share it with our family and friends, because it takes our work out of the context of religion and dogma, and it places it into the context of what makes us happy and healthy, why these practices make us happy and healthy. It's helpful and important for us to recognize this, so that and we do have an obligation to be able to communicate with our families and the people around us. And so having meaningful ways of talking to them about the things that are going to bring about a state of good health is really valuable. At least to me, it's really valuable. So, of course, I'm sharing with you what turns me on. So here's this one. Dancing can reverse the signs of aging in the brain. Okay, so now think about this, dancing. So according to this study, and it gets very sort of technical, so I'm not going to get into the technicalness, but according to this research, exercise has the beneficial effect of counteracting age-related decline in mental and physical capacity. So now they were doing experiments with all different kinds of activities. So they had prescribed, working out in the gym for one whole group, and they had all different kinds of things that these, and all ages, but specifically they were concentrating on elder people to see what would happen. And what they discovered was that there's an increase in the region of the brain that is prone to decline as we age and is affected by diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia. And apparently, the thing that was most powerful in increasing this activity in this region of the brain was dancing. The other thing they discovered is that one of the issues as the body ages is balance, being able to keep a sense of balance. And that they discovered that people who were engaged in dancing, that increased the ability for balance. So that their particular dance group, they gave them simple choreographies, sort of like, line dancing, I guess, something like that. Simple choreography, very similar to what we're doing, actually. Simple choreography, but it does require attention. Because the other thing that they discovered was the form of dance that we do, and I'm saying that because I don't imagine that they're out there doing the Tara dance or even the dances of universal peace or Sufi dancing, but the dances that they are doing resemble what we're doing because they're using mild choreography something that the group does together, and that they have to sort of keep up with each other, that they do it repetitively over the course of a couple of weeks so that they gain proficiency in it. And what they discovered was that this kind of activity stimulates many different parts of the brain, not just the hippocampus, which is what they were saying is the part that assists us in memory and so forth. But many different areas of the brain are stimulated by this activity. So I want to encourage you all to come and dance with us as much as you possibly can. We do have a number of meetings, gatherings, and so forth that we are organizing in the next few months. So I hope to see you all, not just on the screen, but at least in person. And I know I'm looking at some of you that I know it's not possible for us to, for you to come. I wish there was a way. I know that you have various conditions and so forth, but I'm happy that we can at least meet this way. Okay, so now with that in mind, I have another exercise that I want to share with you. And this one requires you to stand up. So I would like to request that you all please stand up, okay? And I'm going to read you, first I'm going to read you a short poem, and then we're going to do a very simple breath exercise, okay? So this poem comes from a book called The Radiant Sutras, Gateways to the Wonder, to the Yoga of Wonder and Delight. Place your hands on your heart or on your belly and simply be aware of your breath. As I read this poem, relax and be aware. The way of experience begins with the breath. Awakening into luminous reality may dawn in the momentary throb between any two breaths. Exhaling, breath is released and flows out. There is a pulse as it turns to flow in. In that turn, you are empty. We will enter that emptiness as the source of all life. Inhaling, breath flows in, filling, nourishing. Just as it turns to flow out, there is a flash of joy, and life is renewed. Now, as you breathe out slowly, let your hands flow upward along the front of your body to the area above your head. In this way, the breath of life flows upward as an offering to the heavens, where it came from. As you breathe in, your hands float down towards your pelvis. The breath of life flows down to your genitals. Now do this at your own pace. Breathing in, hands float down towards your pelvis. Breathing out, hands flow up. Exhale, upwards. Give your breath to infinity. Inhale, downwards. Receive the nourishing fullness of your individuality. Exhaling upwards. Give your breath to infinity as your hands float up. Exhaling downwards, receive the nourishing fullness of your individuality. Give your breath to infinity. Inhaling downwards, receive the nourishing fullness of your individuality. Exhaling, your relationship to the mystery of universality. Hands float down. Inhaling, your relationship to the mystery of individuality. Offer your breath to the heavens. Absorb the vitality into every cell and pore. Now add this other motion. When you breathe out, tilt your head back a little bit in celebration and think, I am part of the life of the universe. Breathing in, tilt your head down and marvel, I am an individual soul. Exhale, breath upwards, heart into heaven. Inhale, the joy of being alive. Continue this powerful movement as I read the prayer, the beautiful prayer. Life essence carries on its play through the pulsing rhythm. The ceaseless throb, exquisite in its constancy. Inhalation sustains life. Outgoing breath purifies life. The pulsing of the creative impulse within you. Breath flows in, filling, and we drink eternity. Breath flows out, emptying, offering itself to infinity. Mind dissolves into heart. Heart dissolves into space. Body, a vibrating field, pulsating between fullness and emptiness. Exhale, and for a moment just hang there, suspended in fertile spaciousness. At the end of the inhale, fill with the song of the breath. Hold for a moment the tender mystery. Breathing, we open into the exquisite vastness. No beginning, no end. Infinity without reservation. We are the vessel of life and love. Thank you, my dear beloveds. Thank you. You can sit down now. Miri, could you come and plug me in? I think my computer is just about ready to pass out. Beautiful. Yes, we unplugged everything because of the thunder and lightning. But now I don't want to lose you. We've still got a few minutes left to our sharing. Yes, okay. So she's going to take care of that. Okay, so how you doing? Any questions so far about anything we've covered? Anything that you want to share? I know that Joshua has it arranged that there can be some kind of hand raising and we can actually talk. Let's see. Okay, looks like everybody is happy. Let me see if I can see everyone. Yes. Okay. All right, there we are. Yes, that was fun. Okay. So now the next thing I wanted to share with you is something that also provides me with a great amount of inspiration, which is my old buddy Ken McLeod. On, I wouldn't say once a month, but close to once a month on occasion, he sends out a newsletter. And then in his newsletter, he has links to his podcast. And I finally figured out how to get my iPhone coordinated with my computer, and so I'm able to download. And he has a very extraordinary way. His grasp of language is really, because he did 2 3-year retreats with Kalu Rinpoche, so he has a profound experience of Tibetan Buddhist practice. And then he ended up in Los Angeles and put up his shingle as a psychologist, and using the Buddhist principles, especially the Tibetan principles of practice with his clients. So his translations are far more accurate. They're some of the most accurate as far as my personal experience of practice has been. And so I'm always delighted. I don't necessarily agree with some of his points of view, but I do really appreciate a lot of the ways in which he expresses himself. And so I took some notes from one of his podcasts. We use to connections, connective links, so that if you want to go and pursue any of these podcasts, he's got about 50 of them, and it's really quite interesting to listen to him. So one of the things that I have been interested in, of course, this time of the year, it comes full bore to me, is the understanding of prayer. Because very often people will say to me, and this was a question that I myself challenged my teachers with, because we're working with Tara in a lot of our practices, or the medicine Buddha, or whoever, whatever deity or whatever concept of divinity that we engage with. And the question is, how real is this being, number one? And if it's not real, then how do I relate? How do I relate to this being that I can't see, I can't touch, I can't really talk to, and yet I feel there's a presence, and I feel there's even a communication. What does this mean? Now, what we've come to discover, and of course Ken speaks from his experience with these profound years, these wonderful years that he spent with Kalu Rinpoche, one of the greatest lamas of our time, to say that, first of all, reality, we cannot fixate on reality, because we really don't know. All we experience is what we can experience through our senses. But in fact, there is a lot more to be experienced. And we know this because we enter other dimensions of consciousness. We don't do this with any facility, as we are, we have developed the facility of being able to see, being able to hear, being able to communicate what we are smelling, what we are tasting. We have some experience with these things, but we also have experience of living in dreams or daydreams or our imagination. And what is real is the question. What is real? Well, this is not a solid event. Reality actually is quite flexible. It all just depends on perception. And perception is also very flexible. And so because of that, our question then is, this relationship that we are developing, or that we develop with Tara, or with a divine being, however we want to talk about a divine being, does it matter whether they are real or not? Since we can't even fixate on what real means, does it matter? Now, according to the teachings, and according to our scientists who have also done experiments with this, it doesn't matter if the goal, we have to determine what is our intention in developing a relationship with these divine beings. What is the goal? Why do we do this? Well, according to these prayers that, talking about, we pray. What is the prayer? A prayer is our reaching out to what we feel is the greatest thing that we can connect with, the most powerful thing that we can connect with, that is going to either give us what we want, or inspire us in some way, or orient us in some way, or increase our vitality, our wisdom, whatever it is that we feel we need to increase. We are propitiating this higher power to engage with us. This is the essence of prayer. Now, the prayer, it's not necessarily an external thing that is giving us anything. What actually is doing is we are creating the conditions for this to arise within us. So the prayer itself creates those conditions. Now, one of the things that I discovered in my own life is that there are times when things just seem really intense. They're so intense that I feel like I can't bear the emotionality within myself. I can't bear the way I feel. I feel that I need help. I need guidance. I need something. So this is the moment when I pray, and the more intense it is, the more perhaps fear, because a lot of my emotional things seem to be based in fear. So when that fear arises, I allow myself to get emotional and to appeal to, and of course, because my Ishta Devata is Tara, my Idam, the form of deity that I find easiest to communicate with is Tara. So I appeal to her. I demand from her. I pray. My prayers are not, oh, please, you know, it's intense. I will shout if I have to. Say, I need some help. I need help now. I need inspiration. I need guidance. I'm not getting what I want. So, and it's very interesting that when Ken is talking about prayer, he says one of the reasons why the guru in Tibetan, or the Lama in Tibetan Buddhist practice, is developed as an aspect of a being we can pray to, is because it allows us to feel that personal connection, to be emotionally involved. Because the power, we're trying to harness whatever power we have in order to engage in this awakening that, according to these teachings, we seek if we truly want to manifest the fullness of our human potential. And so we can couple, if we couple our emotionality with our prayers, if we allow ourselves to feel as deeply as possible the connection with this being and to feel their concern. So in the case of Tara, to feel her concern, her willingness to engage with us, to enter into whatever it is that is causing us to be disoriented. That we can, by using the power of emotion, everything moves, everything shifts. And so the prayers, this is why I often encourage my students and friends to write your own prayer. Whatever is the situation that you find yourself in right now, your physical condition, your financial condition, your emotional condition, your relationship condition, whatever your situation is that is causing you to stress, write it down as your prayer. What is it that you feel that you need? You can do this, continue on with your family, your friends, whatever it is that you're preoccupied with, the condition of our country, the condition of our world, the various conditions in the world that cause us distress. Today, someone was just talking to me about, the condition of people in Syria who have had to escape, the horror of the political situation and the war situation and how dangerous it is, the situation of children living on the street, taking care of each other, begging, starving, sleeping in the street. All of these conditions that concern us. It doesn't matter how much, if one person is suffering in this way, it concerns us. So write it as a prayer, make it your personal prayer, so that when you engage in your practice, whatever it may be, even in your breathing, think about, have this prayer available. When you're going to dance Tara, those of you who have beautiful little Tara groups, I know I see a number of you here. When you go to dance, encourage everyone to spend a little bit of time thinking about what are their prayers, what are their aspirations. Of course, we always want to include in our aspirations the benefit for all beings. Now, one of the images that Ken provided that I thought was very beautiful, one of his students asked him, well, what's this business about merit? Why do I dedicate merit? When I generate positive energy, when I do something that's precious and wonderful and inspiring for someone or something or some situation, and I feel that some merit has been generated, then what's the big deal about me dedicating this merit? And he said, Kalu Rinpoche used to say that if you do something wonderful and you think, okay, whatever goodness comes of this, let it be to my benefit. He said, that's like putting your merit in a teaspoon. He said, eventually it evaporates and it's gone. But he said, if you take that teaspoon of merit and you put it in the ocean of humanity, it doesn't go, it's never gone. It will always continue to generate the blessing. I thought that was very beautiful. Anyway, I have piles of notes as usual. I'm not going to be able to have the time to go through all of them. So just out of curiosity, how many of you have been receiving my notes? I know that you've been making donations to the cause, and I really, really appreciate your donations. I could keep doing this. So are they helpful to you? Are you able to? Yes, I think it's really wonderful. I do compile pages and pages in preparation because, of course, I want to make sure that I have enough to talk about. Haha. So so far, I have never run out of anything. So now I want to share with you news. And Joshua tells me that he can make these pages available to you right away if you like. But in the meantime, I want to share these things so that I can clarify some things. First of all, the Ken MacLeod's site is called Unfettered Mind. And you'll see that's at the top so that you can really, it's quite wonderful, his talks. However, I do not agree with everything he has to say. So I encourage you, when you are encountering one of these wonderful teachers or any situation, if you have questions, try to write them down because it's really valuable. It's valuable to him and it's valuable to me. So let me know what your questions are. So I wanted to thank everyone who participated in the March 31st activity. Unfortunately, this came up after the last Zoom, but I tried to keep everybody involved. You know, one of our dear dancer sisters, Elizabeth Breck, has disappeared. And it's been several months. Her children, her family, no one has heard anything from her. And it's quite distressing, really, because she's a beautiful, beautiful woman, incredible dancer, powerful Dharma practitioner. So we are very connected with her. And two of her dear Tara friend sisters, Suki and Janice from Vermont, decided that they wanted to gather a circle of Taras together and dance for Elizabeth, and that they would do it on March 31st. Well, the word got out. And so across the country in the Bay Area of California, Pia gathered a group together, and that group also decided to dance on March 31st. So Midi and I, who had just, we just came, by the way, I'm sitting in Midi's living room. That's her little garden behind me. So we had just arrived in Brasilia, and we called our group together and asked if they would, we could organize a dance for the 31st so that we could be part of that. And then I started hearing from people all over. So I wanted to share with you the Russian dancers in Perm, the Ural Mountains. They contacted me. And then Anjali, who has a group in outside of Austin, there's a little town called Wimberley. And so her group in Austin, Wimberley, were dancing. And then I heard from Penny Morningstar, which is a dear, dear friend who sort of disappeared into the wilds of Michigan. But she's still on our mailing list, and she's still a student teacher. And she wrote and said that she would dance with her sister in the living room. So then Parvati and her beautiful group in Phoenix gathered that afternoon. Well, I don't know, is there anyone else here that also engaged? I don't see, but at any rate, it's very, very wonderful. I'm very, very happy that such a group got together. Unfortunately, we haven't heard any more news about Elizabeth, but very interesting thing happened. Miri and I, well, I woke up one morning with this trauma, which is black Tara, sort of telling me she wanted me to dance for her. And so I remembered that Elizabeth had started teaching us the black Tara dance. And through some rather remarkable circumstances, I managed to find the video that I made of Elizabeth singing and dancing. So Miri and I have been putting this together, and we will be able to share the dance of Troma, of Black Tara, using Elizabeth's voice singing. So it's really quite precious and miraculous. That one was really amazing. On Wednesday, Miri and I will be heading to the northeast of Brazil, to Natal, where our beautiful Xenia has an apartment right off the beach. Two big beaches are within walking distance. So we're going to go and splash around with her a little bit. And Ana Tanya, this woman is quite remarkable. She was asked to be the Surgeon General of the country, and she turned it down. But she's doing a research project of underprivileged women, showing the power of dancing Tara. And so we will be working with her and her group. And she has managed, together with some of her colleagues, to get the Brazilian government to recognize, I think 13 or 14 different natural healing methods that are honored by the government. And one of them is sacred dance. So that's pretty amazing. So that'll be fun, and we'll let you know what's going on with that. The first week in June, we head to New Lebanon to the abode of the message. And I really, yes, I so have Phyllis is doing a little happy dance over there. And all she has to do is drop down from Ontario. Yeah, yeah, it's wonderful. The abode of the message is very precious because it was the Pir Vilayat Khan, who is one of the great Sufis sharing Sufism in the West. It was his seat for many years, and he did his practices and his transmissions there. And so the, are we okay, maybe? Oh, the sound of the paper, sorry, thank you. Yeah, so the baraka that's developed, you've probably heard me speak of baraka many times. This is the spiritual vitality that accumulates in places where sincere prayer is made over the course of a period of time. So the baraka at the abode is really powerful. And the shrine room, it's humble, but the floor is polished wood, so it's very comfortable for us to dance in all day. And we will have the opportunity to go deeply into practice. There won't be any need for karma yoga as we have in Kauai. So you really are able to relax, to rest, and to enter deeply into the practices. And then we are going to go on a little pilgrimage on Friday. So this is why the retreat is only 5 days, because we're going to drive over to Woodstock, and we're going to make some offerings at KTD, the Karmapa's monastery. I don't know if we'll be able to dance, but we'll certainly be able to bring some flowers and make some prayers. And there's a gorgeous yurt just half a block away where we will be developing some different dances. We have a new the Four Immeasurables dance that's really special and precious that we'll be doing quite a bit of. So I look forward to seeing you in upstate New York. So please make whatever effort you can to be there. And if there's an issue, if you need scholarship, let us know. And then we're popping over. Well, we're going to celebrate Jessica's marriage. So for those of you who know my niece, Jessica, who's also part of Tara Dhatu's board of directors, I'm going to marry her and her gorgeous man. on the 22nd, and then we will fly over to the Bay Area, Richmond, California. We're going to dance for Anam Thupten. Anam is quite an exceptional teacher for Westerners. He speaks excellent English, and he makes a strong effort to make contact with every single one of his students so that he's intimate. And he was profoundly affected by the 2 different times that we danced with him. We danced Calling Tara from the Heart in Maui. And then we danced the mandala for him last year. And he was so excited and so touched that he invited us back again this year. So this year we're going to concentrate on white Tara, including the protectress Jakar. So I hope you can join us if you happen to be in the Richmond area. And our wonderful Lori Ingram is going to be doing registration. We haven't gotten it quite up on the board yet, but we will. It's coming. It's coming. And then Midi and I pop over to Maui. Yay, hooray. I get to go home. And Joshua and David have been showing me all the fabulous flowers they've been planting, which is really exciting. And the new solar system, because our batteries blew out and the tree fell on one set of solar panels. So we've had a lot of action over there, and it will be really fun to be home for a while. So if any of you plan to stop off on Maui, let me know, and I'll make sure to let you know where we're going to be meeting, because we have several really fabulous homes, private homes, where our dear Tara friends invite us to twice a month, full moon and new moon, or somewhere nearby. So let me know, and I'll put you on the Maui mailing list, because the only way anybody ever knows when and where is I send out emails, because I have to. My home is so remote, I have to coordinate very carefully all of my appointments with my teaching. So that would be nice. And then I think my gorgeous and fabulous caretakers may be taking off for a couple of weeks towards the end of the year, sometime in November or December. And so we may be able to accommodate a retreatant for a couple of weeks. So I want you to consider that if you feel like diving deeply into the ocean of Taurus practice. It's always a joy for me to share with you. So that's a possibility. Let's talk about it. And then let's see. Yes, dancing with the masks for Domino. Now, if you plan to dance in Richmond and also in Seattle, please contact Noelle and get the costuming that you need made, because especially for the masks, you need to have a choli, a little top, and one of our gorgeous, fabulous full golden skirts in order for the costuming for the masks to work. So that's my special request, is that you take care of that as soon as possible, because Noelle, she will be able to deliver to, and also to fit things in Richmond if you order before the end of, I think it's May 25th was the date that she gave, May 25th. Okay, yes, I'm moving right along here. Anything else to report? Oh yes, good news, and I think Kauai girls, you probably know all about this. Good news is that the road to Haena is supposed to be opening in June. Now, of course, this could mean almost anything. Holding out hope that that's really true, which means that not this year, but next year, we'll be able to return to Camp Naue on Kauai for our fabulous week-long annual retreat. We will go to Kauai in September for a weekend workshop. Iana has invited us to do that. We haven't set the date yet, but it's not the same as camping out right on the ocean together. It's so magnificent. So that's really, really good news. The dates have been set for the event at Tara Mandala, which is Sultan Leone's place. And let's see, that's October 18th through 21st, 2020, next year. I also want to let you know we're in the home stretch here, that our wonderful connection in Ecuador has come through. So we are going to take a group to Ecuador in April. So if you are interested, if you are at all interested, we'll probably just spend a couple of weeks. We'll offer the Tara dance one weekend, and then we will go to Vilcabamba, which is supposed to be the one place on earth that has the purest water and the purest air. Now, I don't know how they've calculated that, but we're going to go and check it out. And we'll wander around Ecuador for a couple of weeks, so you're welcome to join us for that. So, my beloveds, that's the end. That I've come to the end of my news. Are there any questions? Joshua, did you see anything on the chats that I should know about? Anything that any of you would like me to talk about before I go? Okay, so then I just want to end with this little message. I see there's a group of my beloveds from Kauai meeting together. It's so sweet to see you girls there. Yes, I love it. So my request is, I don't know if you have checked out our dear friend who is having a lot of problems, but I encourage everyone to engage with people who are depressed and get them to watch positive things. There are so many positive things going on. I am connected with a site called The Optimist, which is perfect because it's every day I get a report of what is going on in the world that gives us cause to celebrate. Unfortunately, most of our news feeds are exactly the opposite, and they get us preoccupied with things that are depressing. So I really want to encourage us to actively gather positive resources. Something that I sent out in my own Facebook, I almost never think about my Facebook. I let other people, thank you, Joshua, for taking care of it. And Miri, she also is really helpful with posting things. But I was so excited about this because it came through The Optimist. Apparently, one of the popular rap artists in LA was murdered. And of course, this is a terrible thing, but the most amazing thing is that all of the gangs in Los Angeles met to honor this man. So they put down their guns, they put down their hostility. This is like a dream of mine, that all of these beings that focus on violence, that all they have to do is put down their guns and celebrate their humanity. And so they did that. That was a report from the Optimist Review. So I really recommend that you actively seek out sources of inspiration. So with our hands at our heart for just a moment, remembering that we are always surrounded by radiant light beings pouring their love and their light, their inspiration and their joy into us. We ask with great sincerity that all of our prayers be considered, that we be guided in the most blessed ways, that we are able to bring benefit to the people around us, that we may have good health, that we may have all the energy that we need in order to really be a benefit in this world. And we ask that these simple prayers and this simple concentration that we've done together this afternoon, that the vibrations, the energy, the vitality goes out and creates ripples that touch every being. Omahu, Omahu, Omahu. So now, beloveds, I'm going to step away, but I understand that you can talk to each other if you like. I have no idea how you can do that. But Joshua is here to help that to happen. So I'm going to stop my video and let you go for it.